Welcome, amazing agents from across the country. Today is September 21st, 2017, and this is Mastermind call number 144. Hope you all are doing well this week. Tim, if you're on, I would usually start with you. Tim, are you on yet? All right, well, we will bypass Tim and we'll jump to Chad. Chad, anything you want to share with the group from a training perspective?
No, I don't really have anything this week.
Okay, you want to give them I know Mastery was last week. Want to give them a recap of how that went and kind of a teaser for the next one?
Yep, so for anyone who doesn't know, Mastery is our group training that we do once a month. Went well. We had, I think, 14 people in the class this month. Lower than usual, but we do it once a month and in like 3 consecutive days. We did a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday for September. I haven't set the October dates. We have our planning sessions coming up and different conferences and different things, so I'm trying to work things in where I can get that scheduled. So you'll see that we send out emails to announce when the next Mastery is. But you can always learn more if you're in the subscriber portal. Just look on the left under Education and Training, and you can get all the details in the course outline.
Agents always ask me, I always tell them you don't have to take Mastery to get started, but we have found over the last 5 years of doing this, if you do take it, your level of confidence and knowledge just goes up exponentially. And we've looked at the people that take it versus don't, and you're about 10 times more likely to still be in the program and doing well a year later if you do take it. So I think it's a must for everybody eventually. But if you haven't taken it yet, you certainly can go out and get started with the program and talk to the executors and take listings. It just gives you another level of confidence. And I think it's especially important if you plan on reaching out to the attorneys, because then you're really speaking their language. And Tim is still not on. So, Tom, anything you want to share from a customer service perspective?
Jim, just my usual that if we're here to serve, and if any of the customers have questions or issues, please just send us an email at support@alltheleads.com. We track those items and assign them to the appropriate people to get back to you as quickly as possible. That's
and
it.
Be as specific as possible. Was that Tim chiming in?
No, that was me.
Oh, okay. I thought that was him that said that's it at the end. For those of you that have signed up in the last month or so, Tom now does a pretty thorough orientation call with you. And if anybody's been with us for a while and you're struggling and you need help, again, just send an email to support@alltheleads, and one of us, probably Tom, will call you back and try to get you back on track. We'd rather have you do that at the first sign of trouble than get behind. One of the things I hear most often is overwhelm. People get leads in and they don't work them and they get another set, and we want you to get results with this, and we want you to take the right actions, but don't let yourself get behind. Reach out to us if we can help you get back on track to avoid that. And Tim is not on yet. We have a missing partner today. Hopefully all is well in Cocoa Beach, but we do have 2 people in the queue. And anyone else that would like to participate, this is an open forum call. Just hit *6 and hit 1, and we will take your questions one at a time. Nothing is off bounds. If you're brand new, there's no such thing as too basic of a question. If it's too complicated, we'll tell you to send us an email and we'll discuss it offline. But we probably have room for about 5 more people, and while I was begging, we got a third, so that's good. Keep them coming. Just hit *6 and hit 1, and we will unmute you one at a time. First up this week is phone number ending in 0843. You're up first.
This is Jay Decker calling from Frederick, Maryland. I'm a brand new subscriber. Matter of fact, I think I signed up, 3 days ago, and you guys have besieged me with data and follow-up, and looking forward to receiving my first lead and, hit the ground running. Sound like I'm well supported. So
excellent. Thank
you
for that.
So far, so.
Yeah, well, that's great. Thank you. Anything specific that you need that that we haven't given you so far, or is there anything we can do to help you get off to a strong
No,
start?
I've looked at your letters, been to your Facebook page and all that, and I've been doing this on my own, just combing the obituaries and then matching them up to public records. So I'm not a total novice, but I've been licensed since 1981, so I'm an old fart, and I'm that old dog you can still teach new tricks to. So.
Well, that's awesome. Thanks so much for being open-minded to it. And in your past experience, have you, pulling up the obituaries and doing it that way, have you had pretty good results, or, how long have you been doing it that way?
About 6 months. Got one listing, but the problem is I don't have phone numbers.
Yeah.
And that's the hard part, because if you can send letters all you want, but I find they just sort of get stacked up. At least my conjecture is they get stacked up with all the other estate mail.
Yep.
And it's just a lot of it's just caca, and so they figure it's kind of pedestrian. Here's just some other solicitor, but if you can follow it up with a phone call, you seem a little bit more genuine and more helpful than if you just we're sending bulk mail.
Yeah, no, very, very well said. We have a handful of agents that have just killed it without ever picking up the phone, but they're in very rural areas, very non-competitive markets where, the people are the only one that gets their letter. In most parts of the country, there are certainly investors and probably other realtors that take the copious amount of time to go down to the courthouse and send out letters. So you're 100% right. The mail can be
it's a great source.
hit or miss.
It's much better than expireds and FISBOs and stuff. I mean, you have a real need there, and you usually have a property that's going to be very sellable, because they're probably not going to squeeze every nickel out of it, and they're willing to do what you request.
Sure. Yeah, we have a gentleman named Seth in New York City. I think he's about our 5th agent there. We had the other 4 told us it didn't work there. And his first month, he took 4 multi-million-dollar listings, and he said everybody I spoke to said I got 50 letters, but you were the only one that called me. So you're on the right track. Believe me, if you pick up the phone and make those calls, you're going to do much better.
Well, I think everyone has a bit of call reluctance, but you have to force yourself to do it, because it's more difficult. But once you start getting on a roll and doing it, it just becomes second nature.
Yeah, and I think you'll be pleasantly surprised how receptive these people are. It's usually 3 to 4 months from the date of death until the probate gets filed. So typically, they're past the grief process enough that they've taken a proactive decision to sell the property.
Now, see, that's odd. See, that just seems. I mean, in my county, if someone dies, the probate's usually within 2 weeks. You'll see the public notice in the paper.
So the heirs are more proactive in your market than others.
Well, we have a pretty good judge or register of wills person here, and they're very proactive. And I'm fortunate, well, not fortunate, but my mother died within the past 2 years, so I got to see the process firsthand. That sort of gives me a commonality with my executor peers. But it's quick, and that's my only fear, is that how many other people got to these folks while I'm waiting for my 30 days.
Yeah, and Chad, in most areas of the country, it takes a proactive action on the heir's behalf to get the probate filed. Correct?
Yeah, and what I've tracked, it's about a median of 68 days from the time somebody passes away until they file probate.
Okay, well, that's great.
Kind of observed. So it's usually, and some you're going to see, the death was 3, 4, 5 months ago, some a year ago. It's just, depending on how they process it emotionally, but it seems like the pattern is around 2 months. People seem to kind of get to the point where they're like, all right, we need to deal with this.
All right. Well, thank you.
Things they have to do.
Yeah. Thank you for your.
I don't want to be the one who manipulates his call.
No, you're good. I was just going to say we have a few other people in the queue, but welcome aboard, and please come back and share your successes with us on future calls. We appreciate you
Absolutely.
participating.
I'll be doing this weekly.
All right. Welcome. Thank you, sir. Phone number ending in 8865. You're up next.
Hi, this is Nicole. I'm actually calling from Walnut Creek on Marcus Hines' team. I just joined, and I have a few questions. One is, I did hear a previous call where someone mentioned having success with following up with old leads. So he did go ahead and purchase some of those because we've gone through all of our leads. We've completed all the calls, so now it's just a matter of going back and trying to touch base again. So my question is, what do you suggest for a script as far as following up on some of those older leads that maybe have been forgotten and things have gotten delayed?
Well, the only change you really need to make is, I noticed you were the executor of an estate a while back, and we've had some time to reach out, to people, to reach back in time to make sure, everyone knows that we're here. There's a team of local people in case you haven't gotten everything dealt with. Where are you guys at? Is the estate closed, or do you still have things to do? You just kind of change from real time to say, we're all caught up, and now we're taking time to reach out to people who have, been through this in the last year.
Okay, that helps me. Thank you. And
I was just gonna say we had a great story a couple weeks ago from a gentleman who was with us about a year ago, just for 2 months, and he didn't get any business and he quit. And then a year later, he got 2 really good flips. So he had his assistant go back and call year-old leads, and he got 3 more listings. So probate does season well. There is a significant number of these people that take a much longer time to deal with this. And, now a significant percentage of them will be listed, but any of them that are left, you can be sure that you've got no competition. And if they haven't done something by now, chances are that they're ready to do it. So that's a good approach. If you've got the bandwidth to go back and do that, that's a great idea.
Okay, yeah, I caught that in a previous call from when you mentioned that.
Right.
So thank you. Yeah, I hope that produces. And then also when I'm calling and talking about the letter, and then they say either number one, sorry, I'm just kind of a double packed question, but number one, they're not aware that they're going through a probate, or then also they want to know how I got their contact information. So I was just curious about how you would approach that.
So probably the best thing I can give you is go back to Probate Fast Track in the subscriber portal.
Okay.
And watch video number 3. And that's going to help you with getting these things started. What I talk about in there is the probate USP, or your unique selling proposition. And really the idea of that is to get these main points out, because it's what everybody wants to know. Who are you? How did you get my information? Why are you calling? And if you can find a way to address that proactively and defeat the objection before it ever has a chance to come up, then that's how that was kind of the key for me getting these rolling smoothly almost every time. So you can listen to that in video number 3, but that's what you're trying to, you want them to know, listen, we've built a team of people here locally that can help executors. As part of that, we go to the courthouse and gather data and proactively reach out early in the process, because we know how big of a difference we can make. What's been the toughest thing for you guys so far?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Awesome. And then just my final question just would be, is there a video that could help me with I just lost my train of thought. I'm thinking about the last thing you said. I'm sorry. When they said that their lawyer's handling everything, so their attorney's handling it all, is there a video as far as how to approach that and respond?
I haven't made a video. We have talked about it on a couple of calls. They're blowing you off, and it's BS.
Okay.
Nobody has ever gotten through probate without needing some help, and a lot of times, the attorney can only do so much. The attorney can't value homes and market homes and get personal property taken care of. He can tell them, here's what you need to do. You need to call an estate sale company. You need to call a realtor. You need to call this and call that. Mm-hmm. But then it's up to them to find reliable people, where if they work with you, you've got all that in-house. You've got that team built and vetted, and they're people you trust, and you can offer it as a single solution. So they probably don't know what problems they're going to encounter, and sometimes you have to show them that. And one of the examples that we've been talking about in the last couple of calls is insurance. So I'll bet you that 99% of probate homes that are sitting vacant are not covered by the current insurance policy because they're vacant. And there's only a handful of underwriters in the country that will write a vacant house policy. And I'll share the one I use is called Vacant Express is the name of the product. I can't remember who the underwriter is, but Vacant Express is the policy that I put on my vacant properties. But it's almost 3 times the cost of regular homeowners insurance because there's bigger risk there. So that's just one example you can use to kind of jolt them to be like, oh, okay, maybe we haven't thought of everything. And maybe they do have it all handled, but in my experience coaching people through this, most of them are just trying to get rid of you because they think you're trying to offer the exact same thing everybody else is.
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of jolt them with that, like, oh, okay, well, let me just ask real quick one question. Is there anybody staying in the home right now? Oh, okay, and do you know if the current insurance policy covers it under vacancy? Well, what do you mean? And boom, you got a conversation. And you can use different things. There's actually, if you look in our Facebook group, I think I gave like 4 or 5 of these things yesterday that you could kind of bring to the surface. Someone I answered somebody's post, so it should be near the top. I think it was just yesterday, but I gave you like 4 or 5 things that you can try when you get hit with this objection. A lot of times they think they have it handled, but they haven't thought about, well, what happens if somebody disputes the will? What happens if there's a title issue? What happens if we sell it too cheap? What happens, what if you don't know that leaving personal property in the house is going to affect your sale price by probably as much as 10 or 15%? You don't know these things because you don't do it every day, and we do. So can you see any value in having a professional do 2 or 3 hours of work for you, give you everything, like a strategy, exactly how they would guide you to do it, and then let you make a decision if you see value in that to work with us? And if you don't, then it costs you nothing. So do you really need to get off the phone, and do you really have everything handled, or did you just were you just blowing me off? We're committed to helping people in the community, but we can only help the willing. And I know what we have to offer is a lot different than what you thought at the beginning of this call. Wouldn't you agree?
Wow, that is to the point. I like that. Okay. Awesome. Okay, I'll join Facebook. That's it for me then.
All right. Well, great questions. Thank you. And you're working for a really good, aggressive guy there. I know Marcus is he's going after these with a vengeance. He's out visiting attorneys. He's got you working with the sellers. You guys you're killing it. You're gonna keep it up with, keep taking action and keep asking good questions. You're gonna do very well with this. So thank you.
Oh, thank you guys. Yeah, he's amazing. Thank you.
All right. We got 2 more people in the queue. We got room for more. Hit *6 and hit 1. Next up is phone number ending in 9487. You're up next. Are you there? It says Victoria M. Phone number ending in 9487. I guess she put us on hold or walked in the other room. So Victoria or whoever's calling in on the 9487. Now we can hear you. Go ahead.
Oh,
Thank you.
Okay. I don't know what happened there. I was talking, but it wasn't working. Anyway, I have a customer who the mother passed away, and they did have a will, and they named their attorney the personal representative. They do want to put their house, the mother's house, on the market, and the personal representative is saying that he has not yet been appointed. So, and I'm new to the program too, so I'm not sure. Is that normal? Like, he's saying that could take up to 30 days. Is that the way it works?
Yeah. So when they file probate, like they file the paperwork's filed, and then they schedule the initial hearing. And in that hearing, basically you validate the will and appoint the executor and ask anyone for objections. So that would be the point where if anyone from the public or the family objected to him being the executor, then the judge would hear that objection and rule. Rarely ever happens. The family probably understands why they weren't appointed as the executor. It was either because their parents didn't want to put them through that stress, or they didn't trust them, or there was some some tension among the other family members, and they didn't want to create a fight, so they designated a third party. But I wouldn't expect any hang-ups, but it could take, the next scheduled probate hearing, it could take until then to get him, officially appointed as the administrator.
Okay. Okay. And in the meantime, they can't do anything with the house. Is that correct?
I've never had this scenario. I go ahead and list the house in the name of the executor, which is, in my case, has almost always been it's never been an attorney. So they sign the listing paperwork, and then we close the chain of title using the will, the death certificate, and the list of heirs, and probate documents. So you could list it as the estate of, John Doe, and then have the heirs sign on behalf of John Doe. I would ask your broker about it. I mean, ideally, the attorney would sign it. That's just the cleanest way to do it, is have the personal representative sign the listing agreement. But if they're not willing to, and the family does want to sell, and they are entitled to the real property, I would ask your broker how he or she wants to handle it.
Okay. Yeah, because their main concern is they don't have the financial ability to handle holding the property very long, because it still has a mortgage and it has a maintenance fee every month. And
yeah, so it's certainly in their best interest to get a listing signed like yesterday. So exactly. I would talk to your broker and say, well, have you asked the attorney if he's willing to sign the listing paperwork? I guess he can't. Like with the heirs, it's different because they are an heir to the estate, even if they haven't been appointed as an executor. And I've never had a problem with it. Title companies always take it.
Okay.
I think the answer here is have the heirs go ahead and sign the listing agreement, and you'll close the chain of title the same way.
Okay.
I was going to say the same thing. When in doubt, get it signed, get it in the MLS. It's in the best interest of your clients, and then you're going to be effectively blocking out anybody else from listing it, and let the courts sort out, who the executor is. As long as one of the legitimate heirs is willing to sign the listing, I would go ahead and get it listed. I don't think you have anything to lose.
But the one caution would be the MLS rules. So I don't think you have any legal problem at all. Like in my market, if the MLS looks at the tax record and if they're not on record, sometimes that can be an MLS violation. So that's why I say just bounce it off your broker and get his blessing. And maybe you need to call your MLS coordinator and say, hey, listen, we're going to be doing this. Just wanted to let you know, and just kind of be proactive about that, if that's how you have to do it.
Okay, great. And then, not to monopolize the time, but I do have one other quick question.
Sure.
I had just gotten my first batch of leads, and I sent out my letters, and I got 2 phone calls immediately. One was saying that I had mailed the wrong person, that he had no idea what I was talking about, and nobody in his family had died, and whatever. So I don't know if that was just a fluke. But the second one, right now I'm doing the mailings myself, but I had considered in the future, if I can financially, I'm able to have you guys do them through that mail program that you have. I forget the name of it right now. This lady called and said it was actually her 17-year-old daughter that had passed away, and there was no estate. And obviously I don't want to mail her again, and I would be mortified if I had signed up for the program and then she got another set of letters from you guys after she took the time to call me to say, it's my daughter, and there's no estate, and I don't need your services. Like, is there a way to contact you guys and let you know to take certain people off of those lists and not continue to mail to them?
Even better, when you're in in our CRM where you click My Probate Leads, if you scroll to the bottom, the third tab, I think it's called Option Status. There, you just click the button that says Do Not, and we have Call, Mail, Email, and just click the Call button or Mail button. And as long as you're ordering mail through us, it will always exclude any of those that are marked as Do Not Mail. Now, just to be sure, when you're doing your own mailings, go use that same function the same way. But if you're doing your own mail, instead of using the original list that you got, go back to the CRM, pull up that month, and then click export for mail, and it will remove those from your list just the same as it would if we were pulling that list. So you can manage your own opt-outs, in the CRM, and then just export a fresh list before you do your next mailing, and then they won't be on there.
Okay, perfect. Okay, thank you very much.
All right, thank you for participating. We have 2 more people in the queue. I recognize this name, phone number ending in 4422. You're up.
Hey, what's up, fellas?
We were just bragging about you, Marcus, and you come up on the call. How you doing?
Man, it's like a good manifestation. You send out good vibes, and I just pop up.
Absolutely.
So I'm getting ready to put my Hawaiian shirt on and start making my calls. And one thing I just wanted to bounce off of you was just around what I'm getting. And I got a text. So I got a text back from a client. And it's hard for me to go from as aggressive as I am with like internet leads and other sources over to this probate, but I get it. And text me back and says, we're getting your mailers, got your call. You might want to wait for people to reach out to you and not call so much. And they said it in a really nice tone. And I'm getting that sense when I call people and get them on the phone and then call them that evening and get them on the phone at like 8 o'clock in the evening. I'm just getting a really negative vibe. So what is your mindset? And how is the way? So you send out a letter and then you call. They start to recognize your number. How aggressive would you say to go to find that happy medium? What's your thoughts?
Well, I think at a minimum we recommend, follow each letter with a call, so monthly, call monthly. We have, there's one group, like one small mastermind group that's subscribing, and I've heard from their group, like they're calling daily. I think that's probably too aggressive. It definitely is for my business taste, but style, but I think, if you call once a week until you've actually spoken to everybody, I don't think that's unreasonable. Different personality types are going to react different ways, but as long as you don't sound like you're the mattress commercial on the radio, like too bombastic, like I don't think once a week leaving a voicemail is unreasonable. I don't think that hammering them daily starting at 7 a.m. like a FSBO or expired is the right way to do it either.
And okay, so let me bounce this off you. It's a little bit different. So they're not going to be getting bombarded by all that many people, and they're starting to recognize that they're getting mail and they're getting calls from us. So no more than during the week. And what I'm thinking is call when the leads come in, and try again in the evening. And then when I move it out to the second week, start to leave a message. And then about every 7 to 15 days kind of range to be calling. And I had a good breakthrough with an intro. Let me know what you think about this. Was more so, we sent you guys a letter, and it's explaining the different steps in probate and the different options. And I wanted to see that you got it and if you found it helpful. And with that, I'm starting to get, they kind of loosen up and, I got it. And so maybe incorporate that into the messages, that I'm just more concerned that they got the letter and that it was informative and helpful to them as to their options currently.
Yeah, I think that's good, man. I like the language. Finding it helpful. I mean, that's planting a positive seed, right?
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to start doing that, and I'm going to back off on the calling and do a little bit less calling, even messages every 7 to maybe 15 days, and just kind of be checking in and see what I can help out with. Okay.
Yeah, I think that sounds good.
Right on.
Perfect. Go get that Hawaiian shirt on. For those of you that missed it, Chad suggested he put on a Hawaiian shirt to loosen up a little bit when he calls people, and it seems to be working for you, right, Marcus?
Everybody should have a Hawaiian shirt right now.
Okay. Well, thank you, buddy. You're a good example for people on taking action and getting results. We appreciate you participating. Thank you much. All right. We have 2 more people in the queue. Phone number ending in 4841. You're up next.
Hey there. This is Tony and Cindy Anderson. How are you doing?
Hey, now you signed up about 10 hours ago. How many listings have you taken so far?
That's good. That's good. None.
Well, welcome. Thanks for being on the call.
Sure. Yeah, we've been in real estate for 20 years now, actually, and we own our own brokerage. We're Real Estate of Colorado. We're in Littleton, just south of the Denver area. But we're looking forward to doing this. We have such a low inventory here in Colorado, and I've done a few estate sales over the years, but they were just kind of handed to me. They were, we were referred by other people, and they had already started, and I just sold their homes. And so that was that was fun. Sometimes you have to deal with several siblings, and that's not so fun sometimes because they're not on the same page. But I have 3 questions for you. We just started, and I wrote them down so I won't ramble. But are all of these leads that we get involve real estate? Because that's what we're looking for as realtors. Because I think, are there other probate situations where there's other assets instead of real estate?
So what we give you is every probate filing for the past 30 days. Statistically, 65% of Americans own real estate. About 80% of Americans over the age of 65 own real estate. So more likely than not, real estate is part of the estate. People sell, proactively before as they near that end of life phase. Some move to condos, some go to long-term care, some quit claim it to family members so they can qualify for Medicaid. There's all kinds of different scenarios. So right now, the data includes every probate. So it could include multi-million-dollar stock portfolios and no real estate owned, and those could be buyer leads. It could be a portfolio of rental houses that was held in an LLC that's not part of the estate, but the family doesn't want anything to do with it. We've seen all kinds of different opportunities arise from this. So right now, we give you everything. We do have, and we've been testing, and we've almost have it where we're comfortable passing it along, a program called Probate Plus, where we'll essentially look at all 3,143 counties in the U.S. and using multiple data points essentially augment your data to show you all the real estate owned information for that deceased person. And what we're finding is we're even finding property that's in trusts and entities. So that should be, hopefully in the coming weeks, we'll have Probate Plus, and it should be as simple as just clicking a button inside of the CRM to get that better data. We have to run it through several different places to get what we want from it. But we'll give you all the real estate information, tax information, mortgage information, an AVM along with a tax assessment. So we can give you even down to the equity level, how much equity is in each property. So that's coming, and the goal is to be able to do that cheaper than you can send mail and make phone calls. That way we can save you guys money and save you a lot of work if you're only interested in listing property. There's still, there's the average inheritance in the U.S. in 2014, the stats from is just under $177,000. So there's many ways that you can, help these people and earn real estate related business by helping them do other things other than list a house. But if you don't have the time and you just want to focus on the ones that have real estate, Probate Plus is just around the corner.
Okay, is there an additional cost for that?
Yeah, I don't know what it's going to be just yet. Like I said, the goal is to make it cheaper than sending mail.
Got it. Then question number 2 is, what stage are these leads in when we get them?
Everybody.
Go ahead.
So everybody's going to be different. There's no guarantee of when the death would have occurred, or the common denominator is somebody finally got to a point where they said, okay, we've got to go to the courthouse and deal with this. So that could be a day after the death, or it could be 10 years because they never got to the point where they could deal with it, and now that they're refinancing the house, they finally have to file probate. I've had them all the way back to 1983. So there's just so many variables, and a lot of those variables are how, human behavior. You just never know until you pick up the phone and talk to people. And that's why, what we teach is focus on the people and the situation, and then figure out, the real estate picture and everything else. Just see if there's any way you can help the people.
And Chad, the data you've looked at, it's averages somewhere around 3 months from the date of death until the probate gets filed. Is that right?
Just over 2 months. 68
over 2
days.
months. Okay.
Yeah, and what I meant was not what stage are the people in emotionally, but what stage are they in the process of petitioning and filing and the public notice and that kind of thing.
They're all going to be in about the same stage. That's what I'm saying. Like, the only thing we know is that they finally went to the courthouse and filed probate. So they're all in the same stage. If it's the day after, if the probate was filed yesterday, then they're early in the stage. And then obviously if it's been a month or so, they've probably been, they've probably passed their first hearing. The will's been validated. They're officially the administrator of the estate. And in some states, I'm not sure about Colorado, it's as far as listing the real estate, it doesn't matter so much what part of the probate process they're in to list the property. Now, once the property is sold and the funds are released to the estate, that's where the stage of probate can start to change, whether the family can actually access the funds or distribute the funds or not.
Yeah, but it's pretty safe to say that the probates we give you are all going to be probates that were filed in the last 30 days. We give them to you. If what you're asking is, it sounds like what you're asking is, when do you get them? We give them to you relatively quickly after they're filed, anywhere from 1 to 30 days of the filing date. Perfect. So it's going to be in the beginning stages when you get the information.
Thank you so much. That segues right into my last question, and that is, so we're not having to do prospecting research and going to the courthouse and looking up public records for brand new filings. You guys do that for us, and you're just providing us with the executor or the PR contact information. Is that right?
Correct.
As well as the attorney information.
And the attorney information. Okay. Yeah, that's great. And then part of that question is, what info do you send us when we get a lead? Do we just have the name and contact information for the PR or the executor, or do we have more information?
So you're going to have basically everything that's filed at the courthouse. You're going to have all the information on the deceased, on the personal representative, on the attorney, as well as some additional court information on the probate, such as the docket number, the date of filing, date of death. And the way it's presented to you in our CRM is basically 4 blocks of information. So it kind of separates them out so you can see. And you'll have phone numbers for the personal representative and the attorney.
Great. Thank you so much. Cindy just wanted to know, how soon will we start seeing leads? We just joined yesterday.
It should be within the next...
Every county's different, but go ahead, Chad.
Typically, it's within 10 business days, no promises, but we can usually get it inside of that window.
And Tom is going to reach out to you for his orientation call today. He'll look that up, and he'll give you a better idea for your county.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, we appreciate that very much.
All right. Thank you both. Welcome. And we have one more person in the queue. There is room for more. Hit *6 and hit 1. Otherwise, for now, our last question of the day comes from phone number ending in 9700. You're up.
Hey, guys. How you doing? This is John McCall from Spring Hill, Florida here. I had a few questions. Jim, I think you just got power back, though, last week or the other day, right? You guys doing okay over there?
We're doing great, thank you. I pretty much worked through the whole storm. I had something called a cell phone, so I was able to look up data, make calls. It slowed me down a little bit, but it didn't stop me. I pretty much worked every day. But thanks for asking.
Yeah, we had that too, because I just had a few power sticks, and that's how I had to work too. We were out of power for like 3 days over here.
Sure. Yeah.
Anyway, so I had a few questions for you guys. I did my first mailing, and I probably should have waited on it, but I mailed it probably 2 days before the hurricane hit, or probably on like Wednesday or something like that. The people probably got it on Friday or maybe Saturday, and so it was probably bad timing for me to do it. And the first mailing for I guess it was September. I don't know what it was. I got the leads late. And I want to know is, do you think that I called everyone and I got like really no responses back? And do you think it was just because it was bad timing for me to be following up with people right after a hurricane about, you know, if they got my letter, or do you think that it was just too late in the process? Because I signed up at the end of August, and you guys gave me the August leads right then, and I noticed that a few other homes had already been listed recently, and I don't know if I was just too late in the game, or that I was calling them pretty much to see if they got a letter as a hurricane was hitting, and that was probably not smart. But I
think it's probably just your timing. I mean, if you mail them the day your leads come, there's going to be a certain number of them that listed with somebody else because they've got realtors they know and trust, or you know, they were required to list the home to get long-term care paid for, so it's been on the market for 6 months already. Like you're always going to see those. But I think your challenge is that the entire state was disrupted and is still disrupted in a lot of cases. It just wasn't a great. I mean, it's probably a bigger distraction than the holidays. Like we find that mail response drops in December, and in January business comes flowing back to us. People still do stuff and they still make decisions. They just don't always return our calls until later. So hopefully, the mail that you sent, I highly doubt is forgotten or lost. Like one of the reasons we send a greeting card envelope is because that mail tends to stick around. I've had tons of people call me 2, 3, 4 months after the letter and basically say, come list the house, we're ready. So
okay.
I would continue to follow up with them, and I would chalk that up to just the entire state kind of being upended right now. I mean, think they've got their whole life and everything that comes with that, plus a hurricane on top of it, and then someone else's life that they're trying to deal with all at the same time, and it's just a lot that they're dealing with.
Right, exactly.
And they might have 2 houses that are flooded,
Right, exactly, yeah. That's a bigger problem. Okay, perfect. So I had actually 2 other questions. I messaged, I think I talked to you, Chad, about it, or something on this about the CRM, about how if we get a call in, because we get a call in and we don't know who the number is, and how they said, hey, you called me. I left them a voicemail through Sly Broadcast, and I have no idea who they are, and they said, hey, I'm returning your call. Should I save every person in my phone? Or I know that you guys said that you're working on the CRM, that if I hit in a phone number, I'll be able to know who that is. But what is other people's systems maybe, or what do you think is the best system of knowing who's calling me, when they're saying, hey, I'm returning your call?
So when I first started in investing, when I first got into residential real estate, I had like absentee owner lists and probate lists and owner occupant high equity lists, and I tried all these different things. And anytime my phone rang, I would want to know, okay, which one of these lead types is calling me? What I found is I sounded like a damn fool on the phone because I was always trying to figure out who I was talking to. Where if I just talked to the person and was like authentic with them, I would find out who I was talking to. So I'd gotten in the habit of stepping away from my computer when I answered the phone so I wouldn't be distracted and sound like a dummy. And what I found was I had much better conversations. I've got them on the phone. I'll just ask them who they are, right? So I wouldn't get too lost in that, because you're going to be driving down the interstate answering from your car. You're going to be, at your kid's soccer game. You're not always going to be in a place where you're going to be able to look them all up. The idea of putting them in your cell phone is, that would work, because it would pop up and you would know their name. But what else do you know about them, right? Like how relevant is that? I think you're better off to just start each conversation with, oh, okay, well, listen, we actually reached out to everybody in the county because we don't want to leave anyone. We want to make sure everybody knows this service exists. Can you just give me your name and property address? Okay, perfect. And then just go from there. Like you'll find out who you're talking to when you speak with them. But my advice is don't get too caught up in trying to know all the details of who you're on the phone with, because you're on the phone with them. There's an easier way, right?
Yeah. Okay, that's good. I'm always trying to figure it out, but it's kind of irrelevant. So
trust me, if there's anyone that knows anything, if there's anyone who's ever been too systematic, it's me. And I'll say that's too systematic. Like just relax and be friendly and helpful on the phone, and you'll find out. They'll understand.
Yeah.
I don't. Since I made that transition, which was really early on, no one was ever pissed off because I didn't know everything about them when they called me. I could just simply say,
right.
we actually reached out to everybody in the county because so far we've never met any family we couldn't help. What was the property address? And then
right.
It'll roll right on.
Okay, that's good. That's good. The third thing is most of the people say they live in the county that I have, Hernando County, or Pasco County, but they died there, but they actually own property. They don't own any property in my county. They own property in Broward County or something like that. How often do you think that happens? That they don't own any real property in the county they're living in, and they own property in a county, half the state away or something like that, or in a different state.
Well, it's just that, every area is different, and you live in a very transient population, and people probably have condos over in Broward, and maybe they sold their primary residence to move to the condo on the coast, and that's when they pass away. They might have lived with a family member or something, kept the condo. You just never know. It's not real common. We do see you see a lot of out-of-state stuff and out-of-county stuff in Florida, but nationwide, like in my market, never. Like people, it's almost always here in the county that it's filed in. But
right, okay. Because I didn't know if I should mail them if I look up and I don't even see that they own any real property here, or they nowhere even around here or something like that, or they tell me, hey, we own property, but it's in Jacksonville, and so should I just try to refer them out to somebody else and that's it, or should I keep
sure.
Kinda, yeah.
If you don't want to service business all the way out there, then absolutely you should find a especially if you're seeing over and over, if you're seeing multiples in Broward, I would align myself with an agent over there that's, kind of the same business values as you are, that will give them the same level of service. And then I would start the conversation, talk to them, build rapport, get them to trust me, and say, you know what, listen, one of the people on my team is actually my Broward County guy. I'm going to have him give you a call as soon as we hang up here. Does that sound good? Okay, perfect. I would treat him just like you treat your estate sale company, your contractors, your clean-out crews. Just make him a member of the team. He's your Broward County guy. And make it look like, that, listen, we have everything covered, and we're going to have this guy give you a call. He's one of our team members. So make sure you've got the right agent, and you don't just have some random agent that doesn't understand what you're doing. Make sure they understand your business model so they can service those people the same way that you did.
Okay.
All right, buddy. Good.
All
right. Thank you so much. We got 4 more in the queue, so that'll take us right to the top of the hour. Good job participation wise. Next up is phone number ending in 0883. You're up next.
Hey, Jim in Memphis.
Hey, Big Jim. What's up?
How are you? I'm good. I had my first, making the first phone calls, getting all the same objections everybody else does. But I talked with Chad yesterday, and he helped me immensely with several things. But I'm interested in and I forget if he called it Probate Plus or Probate Pro, where the people just have the real estate.
Yeah, we're working on that. We're probably a couple months away, 6 to 8 weeks away from. But we'll let everybody know at the same time when it's ready. We're just beta testing it now.
Okay, if like the previous caller, my primary goal, I'm an old guy, okay, and so my primary goal is get a few listings a month, and so I would be more interested in just the ones that do have real estate. Will we be able to get in that program just the ones with real estate, and then we eliminate the ones that do not?
You can delete whatever you want. When we update the CRM, you can delete any lead that you want. So if there's leads in there that you don't want, I mean, we're gonna pull all the probate data, and then we're gonna augment that with multiple other databases to get the to drill down on what we need. And then we're adding one of the columns that you'll see in your CRM is real estate yes or no. So you can sort by real estate no and delete all those leads if you don't want to see them, but we're still going to give them to you because there are so many ways you can monetize this.
What I was thinking, if you just got the real estate leads, your cost might be less with fewer leads.
No, I mean, we have to have all the information. We have to have all the information before we can figure out, before we have to process all of the data to get just the ones that we want.
Are you going to have a new program of contact? I think I heard the same guy say maybe not phone call. I mean, maybe not letters. Is there going to be another system for just contacting the ones with real estate, or will the letters in the same system be applied, do you think?
No, I think the system's going to remain the way it is because it works. You're just going to have, the whole goal of this is to make you more efficient in your prospecting and more economical. So based on early figures that I've looked at, I can cut your marketing effort by about 40%, and I can cut your cost by 8 to 10% after everything's paid for. So you're going to pay for the probate leads. You're going to pay extra to have the augmentation, but in the long run, you're going to pay less than you would if you did all the work and then, and like all the prospecting, all the mail, everything. So in the end, you're going to save money compared to what you're doing right now, even though you're buying an additional, data augmentation. And that's the goal, is to make sure that, you save money, you spend less time.
Right. And then yesterday when we were talking, you were talking about having someone do calling. How far out do you think that is?
Damn, Jim, are you just going to give up all my secrets on a recorded call? Come on, man. I'm testing that. So I'm testing that in several counties right now too. Just cat kind of out of the bag. But guys, one of the requests that we hear often is, I'm not making my phone calls. Can you guys make these calls? And we can certainly make the calls, but for me, before we have somebody making calls on your behalf, I want to get them to where they're converting, and that's what I'm working on now. So when we have ISAs that convert at the same level or higher than our agents, then I'll feel comfortable offering that as a service. So it's coming. I just don't know when it will be.
The second thing is, how often do you find that you don't get very much on after the first letter making the calls, but you do on the second or third letter?
That's something I've never been able to pattern. So, I would sometimes get, 2 off the letter, 2 off the phone call. Sometimes I would get neither, and the next month I would get 4 or 5. There was one point where I went almost 3 months without a listing, and I listed 5 in 2 days. On a Thursday, Friday, I listed 5 houses and had them up on the MLS. So it was never. There was never any consistency for me. I mean, that's why I always tell everybody, you got to look at this on at least look at a quarter at a time. Never look at it by the week or by the month, because you'll be frustrated. There will be times where no one will return your calls, no one will respond to your mail, you won't list any houses. But I've never met anyone yet that was diligent that went a quarter without having success in this. Like if you're diligent, you're making the calls, you're sending the letters. So try to look at it on a long enough spectrum that you don't disappoint yourself, and realize, people move at different paces. And what Jim always says, there's a cumulative effect to this. What you'll find is in month 3, 4, 5, 6, you'll start to get come list me calls from like month 1, 2, 3, 4. Like people just finally get to that point where they're ready to go, and they just call and say, hey, can you bring some paperwork? And I've had at least a half a dozen. They're like, hey, Chad, I got your letter a while back. When can you come over and get this thing on the market? And I'm thinking, who is this? Have I talked to you before? And it's happened a ton of times. So those are the ones that you're sitting there thinking, well, damn, none of these people called. No, they're not returning my voicemails. Just think that's the person that's going to be the come list me call 90 days from now.
Right. I will throw out a suggestion to others. In my first mailings, I have included my copy of the trifold brochure, and a lot of times I'll use that to ask if they got it, and I've had many of them tell me they have it in their hand. Now, I've not converted one yet, but trifold, and I'm seeing the trifold in black and white with the first letter, and contemplating whether to do it in color at any point.
Okay, and that's working for you?
They have it and they mention it, and so it's
okay.
I haven't converted yet, but
okay.
I'm really just started calling this past week and a half, and so I've got a lot more calls to do.
Yeah, please come back and let us know how that works, Jim. And I apologize to everybody. We are going to go a little bit over today. We never leave a question unanswered, but we have 3 more people in the queue. Are you good, Jim? Did we help you with everything?
Yes, I'm fine. Thanks. Y'all have a great day.
Thank you. You too. Next up is phone number ending in 7741. You're up next.
Hi, Jim. How you doing? My name is Damon. I'm in the Chicago area, particularly focused on, Naperville, Illinois.
Yes, sir.
And my question is, I'm brand new. I'm like a newbie. I'm so new, I just got through watching Fast Track like within the last week. So here's where I'm at. The mailbox motivator and setting up the mailbox to be sent out, because I just got my lead this morning.
Mm-hmm.
So my question to you is, with the mailbox motivator, when I set up to get it sent out, I have to pay for all 3 letters now, or can I pay for like letter 1, then letter 2, then letter 3?
No, you don't get billed for the mail until it goes out. So you pay for the leads in advance. We order them and then we deliver them. And the letters you pay, I believe. Tim's not on the call, but back me up,
yes,
Chad.
I am.
I believe. Oh, you are there, Tim. Would you answer that question? When do they get billed for the letters?
You were correct in what you said. We charge as they go. In other words, you'll sign up for all 3 of them, but we don't bill until they go out. And the reason for that is that what we encourage you to do, obviously, if you send the letters out and the letters are going out, and so then you follow up with the phone calls, then go into your CRM and make the notifications on your CRM about the leads themselves. And if you've talked to somebody and you don't want to mail to them again, then mark them off. So the second mailing is less expensive for you as you begin to winnow it down to the people that you want to focus your efforts on.
Okay. See, my question was simple.
Excellent. Was that it, or do you have another?
No, that's it. I'm just concerned about all the initial costs and setup.
No, we never want you to pay for anything that you don't get or get good value out of. So that we do that on purpose, and make sure you manage them that way. Use that little CRM that we have on the back end of the website. It's the easiest way to manage them. Okay.
Wait a minute. You said CRM kind of. Okay, hold on.
Have your leads. I'm sorry. Go ahead. You finish.
You said CRM, so let me back up a minute. Where's the CRM at? I'm on the website right now, so I'm looking at my leads. What you mentioned CRM? Where?
Well, if you go to the top left, my probate leads.
Okay, yeah, I'm in that right now. My probate leads. So I clicked on that. So I click on my probate leads, and I see, watch the CRM demo. Okay, so I need to watch the demo. So that's.
There you go. Come on anytime and answer your own questions. Good job.
Right. I do have. All right. I do have one last question to ask, and
yes, sir.
And I probably knew the answer, but I forgot it. The one-on-one I guess it's the probate mastery class that you guys have. When is the next class, and how much does it cost?
One-on-one versus group.
The one where you had the 3 classes. The one with the 3 classes. He just means
the regular mastery.
So it's $250 for the group mastery, and I don't have the October date scheduled right now. If you want to sign up for October, you can do that now, and I'll send you the September recordings that we just finished, and then you can join us live in October whenever it's scheduled.
Okay.
All right. Appreciate
and
it.
If you look when you're in,
go ahead, Chet.
In the subscriber portal, if you just look to the left under training, you'll see Probate Mastery, and there, if you want to sign up, you can click there and sign up.
Oh, I see it now. Yeah, Probate Mastery. I see it now. Okay.
All right. Well, we're definitely going to make this the longest call ever. We're going to take the last 2 in the queue, and then we'll let you all get back to work. Next up is phone number ending in 0981. You're up next.
Hi, Howard. Yeah, I'm currently living in Philadelphia, and I'm not on board yet, but I'm after hearing this phone call, I'm very interested in everything. And so I was kind of deciding, doing my research on what company I want to do and where I want to get my leads. So I got leads yesterday from the courthouse, and I was just kind of how should I go through my process? Should I contact the attorney first? Should I contact the executor first? Or what should I do? Because I'm kind of new, but I have people around me who's been doing it for a while.
Did you get that, Chad?
As far as
yeah, I think I know what he's saying. We recommend reach out to the executor first. They're the low-hanging fruit. They're the decision maker. And then if you have the time and the bandwidth, don't ignore the attorney. In Philadelphia, you're getting 350 leads. So you're going to have to prioritize you want to call the attorneys first. That's now business. And then go down the attorney column and look to see what attorneys are players, and look to see which attorneys are doing multiple deals every month, and those are the ones you want to go after first. You're probably not going to have the bandwidth to contact all the executors and all the attorneys. So I would go executors first, and then reach out to the attorneys. Was that your question?
Yeah, and I kind of have a follow up to that. Should I also one of the things I kind of like how you contacted me and everything was that was through email. Should I be on email? How should I go through the email process with them?
Yeah, we don't do email prospecting. You would have had to have inquired, or you probably saw us on social media and filled a form out on our website, and then we sent you an email.
Yeah.
So yes, you can. The attorneys, we do get emails for the attorneys, and we do have a few agents that have done real well with email marketing. One thing I will tell you, if you're going to mail, call, or email the attorneys, just put a generic reference to the probate case number in the subject line. Don't tell your life story in the subject line. Just put reference probate case number 75203. It tends to look more like official correspondence, and they're more likely to open and read it if you do that.
Tim,
go ahead, Tim.
Also clarify one other thing. We don't always even get the email address for the attorney. We only get it sporadically, and it really depends on the court. If the court has that in that record, we get it, but oftentimes they don't even include it. So if you're in a county that it's not there and you don't get it, don't think you're being shortchanged. It's not one of the things that we certainly guarantee that you get. We do the best job we can to get it for you, but it definitely isn't on all of them.
Okay.
And we've said many times before, the most effective, we hear from agents around the country, we have yet to hear of anybody that's had really glowing success with the attorneys other than just stopping by, getting in front of them, and doing a face-to-face meeting. So, I would identify who the players are and try to get in front of them, have a nice trifold brochure you can leave with them, and just try to get some face time with them. That seems to be the most effective approach with attorneys. Does that help?
Yeah, it does. Thank you.
All right, you're very welcome. And sorry, guys, we're kind of rushing through because we try to keep these calls at an hour, but we want to get to everyone. Last up today is the phone number ending in 4841. You're up last.
Okay, is this Jim?
This is Jim. Yes, ma'am.
Hey, Jim, this is Cindy and Tony again.
Hey. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Only one question per call. You have to call back next week.
I do.
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. No, go ahead, Cindy.
So I didn't ask you this, but these are some questions I have. How does it? And if they need to call you back later, we can do this. If you don't want me to do it on this call.
No, that's okay. Go ahead.
How do the leads come in when you signed up? Like we're brand new. We just signed up yesterday. Do they trickle in one at a time, or do you get them all like in a lump?
No, and as a matter of fact, Tom is going to do your introductory call with you today. He's been trying to connect with you, and he'll go over all of that. He'll go over that with you. But typically, in most counties, once a month, you're going to get all the probates that were filed in the last 30 days. But as soon as you're off the call, just return Tom's call, and he'll schedule your introductory call today, and he'll go over all of that with you. Okay?
Okay. And then sharing costs with vendors, is that something that you've talked about at all, with sharing your costs with your vendors?
We have talked about it on prior calls, and for the most part, you know, we sort of believe that just get a vendor that's going to do a good job. Now, we do have mortgage and title companies that share the costs with the realtors as a incentive to do business together. But Chad, we don't see a lot of that, right? And you're not a big fan of doing that, correct?
No, I think it's something you need to earn, not go ask for. So, and this is just my personal opinion, like if you create relationships with title, you know, with title companies and with estate sale companies and, you know, different family law attorneys, financial advisors, you know, as you've given to them, you know, you give them referrals and you guys find that you work well together, I think then it's okay to approach them and be like, hey, listen, you know, let's do a little something extra to get you into our letters. Like, let me endorse you a little heavier, and you should help share this campaign with me. So, like, for example, a financial advisor, you might change a paragraph in your letter to put a little more emphasis on what happens after the sale so the family never has to go through probate again in the future. And plug that person in there and be like, and our preferred financial partner is, and then have them share the cost with you. Or you may decide.
You have a relationship with them, is what you're saying.
That's what I suggest.
Okay. And then the only last question was, and it was kind of the question that Tony asked earlier about when you get the lead, can you tell by what you're getting, the information you're getting, whether there is real estate involved in that deal or not?
Not right now. With Probate Plus, you will be able to.
Okay. So when you send us the information, we're not going to know whether there's a house to sell or not.
Cindy, you'll see the last known address, which often that is the property, but you can't automatically assume that. People die in hospice, nursing homes, living with relatives. So a majority of the time, the last known address will be there, but don't get trapped by assuming that, or you'll screen out a lot of good leads. And, again, that's something Tom will go into in detail with you this afternoon. Okay? Hey, guys, thank you. And we never want to rush anybody off these calls, even though I feel like I did that. This is by far our longest call today, and we very much appreciate the participation, the people that showed up, and so many good questions and observations. Been a great call, guys. I always like to end these calls by challenging you. You took 70 minutes of your life today to be here. You know, take one thing, one idea, one thought, one example that you heard on today's call. Go out and put it into practice, and please come back next Thursday and share your results with the group. Thank you so much, guys. We'll talk to you same time next week. Make it a great week. Take care.